Something Terrible Came with the Rain, Part 3. A young woman in cargo pants with a gun in her hand opened the back door of the old man's house. When she saw us, she stepped aside and let us in, while carefully eyeing me. "Take your damn shoes off," the old man said. "Don't want you tracking no mud inside."
"Dad, no! He might need to run out quickly in case they get inside,"
the girl said. "Fine." The man grunted and proceeded into the living room, leaning his shotgun on a sofa where he sat.
"Make yourself at home," the girl said. "But don't try anything stupid."
She went past me and inside the living room. Everything about her confidence in verbal and body language told me she was trained for this exact type of situation. But I didn't want to ask her anything yet. I joined them in the living room and sat opposite of the old man. "Name's Harry," he said as he lit a cigarette. "And this here is my daughter, Alyssa." I introduced myself as the old man kept staring at me silently. I couldn't decipher any emotions on the old man's face. "You live close by, don't you?" Harry asked. "Yeah, a few blocks away. That creature made me get into your backyard. I didn't mean to trespass," I said.
"Are you headed to the hospital?"
Alyssa asked. "No. Why?" I shook my head. "Some survivors gathering up there. Said so on the news before they stopped broadcasting. They're probably still there, though," Harry said. "Harry, do you know anything about what's going on?" I leaned forward. "Devil's work, I tell you," Harry responded nonchalantly. "Ever since they started mining 2 years ago, I kept telling him something would go wrong."
"Dad, come on, not this again."
Alyssa rolled her eyes. Harry simply ignored her and continued. "It ain't natural to go digging into the earth. Wasn't meant for no humans. I can bet you they woke something up down there at the quarry." "So do you know if the military has any plans for a rescue mission?" I pretended not to know. I also wanted to know if Alyssa was with the army, and I hoped I would get my answer this way. Something told me that if she was with the military, I'd already be dead. "I ain't no military coming to save us, son," Harry said. "Saw them retreating with their armored vehicles, and Alyssa here saw them shooting at civilians on sight." Alyssa nodded. "So you're not military?" I asked her directly.
"X,"
she responded. I nodded and then said, "So I guess our best bet is to go to the hospital." Alyssa nodded. "You could go there and wait it out," Harry said. "Or find the survivors there and use numbers to bust your way out of town."
"Hospital's close by, but there may be some sort of monsters roaming around."
Just after a few minutes of talking to her, I could see a resemblance to her father, despite her not being as stubborn as Harry. I nodded and we sat in silence for a moment. "Do you know anything about 36? I heard them talking over the radio about 36 getting out of hand." They both seemed confused, but before they could give a proper response, there was a sound of glass breaking in the kitchen, followed by a gurgling noise. Harry shot up and grabbed his shotgun, while Alyssa pointed her handgun at the doorway. I saw a hatchet leaning on the side of the fireplace, so I grabbed it and got ready for whatever was coming. A moment later, the gurgling got louder, and a man that looked completely charred, as if he was burnt all over, shambled inside. When he saw us, his gurgling turned into a painful scream, which was cut short with Alyssa's bullet to his head. Another sound of glass breaking, this time behind us, and another charred person, a woman, jumped inside, completely ignoring the deep cuts on her body from the broken window. She started crawling towards me, and then when she grabbed onto my foot, something kick-started my fight-or-flight instinct. I raised the hatchet above my head and brought it down with full force on the woman. The blade struck the top of the woman's skull, making her stop moving completely. I didn't have time to react, as another charred person stumbled in through the window, this one having patches of blazing skin on his body. I pulled the hatchet out of the woman's skull, but the man managed to grab my hand before I could swing again. A loud bang resounded, and the man fell dead from another one of Alyssa's bullets. More of them kept coming in, and the room turned into a cacophony of gunshots, and Harry's, "Come on, you ugly sons of bitches," shouts. I managed to bring down one more charred creature with the hatchet, and as I turned around, I saw that one of them tackled Alyssa to the ground and thrashed violently, while she tried to free her hand of his grip and shoot him. I swung the hatchet as hard as I could, embedding it in the attacker's collarbone. He screamed an inhuman scream and fell backwards when I pulled out the blade. He started scooting back with his heels, holding his bleeding shoulder, but by this point, adrenaline took over my actions completely, so I had no intention of stopping. I gripped the hatchet with both hands and brought it down on the creature over and over, first severing one of his arms at the forearm and then finally killing him with a strike to the face. Just then I realized everything was quiet again. No gunshots, no gurgling, no swearing on Harry's end, just the sound of our panting.
I owe you.
Alyssa patted me on the shoulder as she stood up.
Bet you're thankful now you didn't have to take off your shoes.
Those goddamn fuckers. Harry cursed as he reloaded his shotgun. You can't stay here any longer, kids. Get to the hospital.
Wait, what about you?
I ain't leaving our home behind.
Don't be stupid, Dad. If you stay here, you'll die.
I promised your mama that this would always be our home. I'm not letting these hellspawn take it away from us. He could see the disapproval in Alyssa's eyes, so he put his hand on her cheek and said, I know you're worried, baby girl, but I'll be fine. I have enough food and water to last me here for a month, and the basement is the safest place in town right now. But you need to get yourselves out of here. You understand? Hesitantly, she nodded, and put her already packed backpack on. She and I went to the front door, and Harry escorted us there. It was dark already outside, but the rain still wouldn't let up. Now remember what we talked about. If the rain gets too heavy, you find cover immediately, you hear? That's when the nasty ones come out. He looked at me and shoved a handgun into my hands. You keep my daughter safe, you hear? You keep her safe. I looked at the gun and nodded. I had never used a gun before, but now it seems like it would have to if I wanted to survive. Harry and Alyssa hugged tightly for a long moment, with Harry whispering that he loved her, before she broke away hesitantly and turned around.
Come on, let's go,
she told me and walked down to the pavement. Thank you, Harry, for saving my life, I said and gave him one last look. For the first time in the short time that I knew him, I thought I finally saw an emotion on his face, an emotion which didn't suit him in the slightest. Despair. This is Kinetic Symphony. If you've enjoyed this narrated story, please subscribe and like the video to help me grow. Thank you.